Now, what I want to start with first is hey, go on my Twitter. I want to show you a picture on my Twitter. Did you see that picture that I put up on Twitter of the
Excuse me.
mouthpiece?
Yeah. It's fake news, right?
Yeah. Did you see that shit?
I saw the mouthpiece. Everyone's seen it, I think. It was making the way
All right,
around.
so let me tell you the story about that mouthpiece, right? I put that I got the photo from this dude that I think he works for Rebel in China, and
Faison.
yeah, he's the one who posted it. So I took that photo and I threw it up on Twitter, right? And I guess I might have been the first one to throw it up on Twitter, and I just let it go and I went to sleep. And then when I woke up, I'm just getting all this Spanish, and it's not even, I don't even know if it's Spanish or Italian or whatever, right? So, like on Google, or not on Google, on Twitter, you could translate everything. And they're talking like, this is the same picture that they're using in Argentina, that mouthpiece, right? So what they're saying is that mouthpiece, the picture of the mouthpiece, belonged to a police officer during a riot that was attacked by protesters in Argentina.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so, and it's not even just like one news outlet. It was a news outlet called La Nacion, which is like a newspaper, like a huge newspaper, I guess, in Argentina. They used that picture, and also a channel like Channel 26 in Argentina used that picture, saying that it was a mouthpiece of a police officer that got
Really?
attacked. That same picture, right? So that's why all the people were retweeting and liking that photo, and then they were sending me messages about like, hey, isn't this is a picture of fucking a dude's mouthpiece in China that was in an MMA fight, but they're using it in Argentina as a police officer's mouthpiece. But
That's insane.
what police officer wears a mouthpiece?
Yo, maybe in the riots, they got to step it up for the
You think
riots.
so?
I don't know. I'll ask my dad. He's a cop. He's been in riots before.
But I've never ever seen a police officer wear a mouthpiece ever in my life.
Me either.
That was kind of a weird thing too. And then they have a picture of the mouthpiece, and then they got some picture of some police officer wearing riot gear and his face all bloody. And then there's a picture next to that of that same guy getting dragged from the riot.
That's insane.
So
Yeah, I'm
they're trying
looking
to
at
link
the
all that.
photo now on
Yeah,
your Twitter.
yeah. Look at the teeth though.
Bro, it's still ridiculous.
Yeah, hey, you could tell some of the teeth are fake though.
Yeah, it just looks really weird.
But I guess that the guy's name,
Why did he put that up there, though?
who the mouthpiece?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're just showing, something that's weird that happened, because usually you don't lose 8 to 10 teeth in a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
insane.
I wanted to get into that mouthpiece thing is because mouthpiece is to protect you, right, from getting your teeth knocked out. So how come he got all his teeth knocked out and he's wearing a mouthpiece?
Yeah, I don't know. When I said that, when I saw it earlier, I was thinking that maybe, I don't know. It's like you see the teeth are in a line. It's almost like the jawline came out or something. You know what I mean? Like a bunch of teeth stuck together. It was kind of ridiculous. Well, it
Yeah,
was
some of
ridiculous.
those teeth are fake. Like some dentists on Twitter, they saw that picture, and then they said that 3 of the teeth are fake teeth. They're bridged teeth that they bridged together or some shit like that. I'm not, really for sure. But you never see people really losing teeth in the UFC. Is it because they're making custom mouthpieces? Because that guy's mouthpiece doesn't look like a nice
Yeah,
mouthpiece.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
What about you? What about your mouthpieces that you use during a fight?
Yeah, I have custom mouthpieces. Uh, I think I've had since I started fighting, I've had two mouth guards, and I have a friend, Sherry. Shout out to Sherry in Atlanta, Georgia. She's a dentist, and she got. Well, I think I had a mouthpiece made, and then I had the molars, and I lost it, or I had the molds from my mouth, and I had always kept the molds, and I just gave them to her, and then she made me a new mouthpiece. It took a week or whatever it was, but they're really good mouthpiece.
So to get a proper like mouthpiece, you have to go to a dentist? Because that's what it seems like all these like fighters are doing, is they're going to a dentist.
I think, excuse me, it's wintertime in Thailand now. It's actually been cold. I wore a jacket today.
Motherfucker talking about it's cold in Thailand. It's fucking snowing over here.
It's still hot. Like I didn't wear the jacket
10.
all day. But, yeah, but it's not that fucking hot. I mean, it's cold for me. You know, you've been in Thailand too long when you're wearing a jacket. But no, there's a place on the road near Tiger that it's called like the Fight Lab, but they make custom mouthpieces. It takes like they put like they have like a fake mouth guard or something, and they like put paste in it and you bite down on it, and then they take basically the same thing, molds, not quite as sophisticated as in the States, but they do take the molds and they make it. But yeah, I think in this day and age, like if you're doing a combat sport, whether it's football, rugby, or obviously fighting in any combat sport, like the technology is now, you'd be stupid not to get, you know, a good mouth guard. Like just getting like some mouth guard and throwing it in hot water and boiling it. Like, yeah, it's just stupid not to have a mouth guard.
But you know,
but I say that, but I don't even wear it when I spar and stuff like that. So it's probably when I should wear it.
Oh shit! But you're gonna pay the price if you're unlucky.
Yeah, well, I don't look. I'm not sparring. I'm an old man. I don't spar with anyone unless I'm like if I have a fight. Yeah, I wear it. But if I like jump in to go with somebody, like I don't, you know.
Even when you're like grappling and stuff, you don't wear a mouthpiece?
No, I've never. Yeah, when I do jiu-jitsu or I'm wrestling, I never wear a mouthpiece because I never wore a mouth guard growing up. Like, I don't know. I didn't know a lot of. I think it's more like common now in college wrestling to wear mouth guards. But I never wore one in college. I never wore one as a kid or anything. And if I remember, like most of the guys on my team in college didn't wear mouth guards either.
Yeah, some people they can't handle wearing a mouth guard. It seems like they don't like something in their mouth. They can't like the taste of it or something like that. They can't handle. They always spit it out. There's people like that too.
Or they'll chew on it and stuff like that, which is kind of a bad habit. But yeah.
But you know, like the mouthpieces that you can buy at the store.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like what you just said is like it feels weird. Like whenever I have my mouth guard in, it just feels like it doesn't really feel like anything. I don't like after I wear it 1 or 2 days in a row, like I don't even notice that it's in my mouth, you know?
Yeah, me either. Like I always wear a mouthpiece if I'm gonna spar in like jiu-jitsu or something like that. I always wear it. I never not wear it because I've been elbowed in the nose a few times during jiu-jitsu sparring to the point where like that could have been my mouth and that could have been some teeth like knocked out. So I'm
that's your teeth, man. You don't want to play with that.
No, because teeth, you can't replace your teeth when that shit's gone.
No.
That's messed up. But yeah, it's a trip how that little picture became fake news in Argentina. Yeah. And then the picture is in, let me say that the fighter's name, I think his name is Marcelo Costa, a Brazilian dude fighting in China. That's his mouthpiece. It's a trip, man. But I guess the promotion, I think they were fighting for WLF. How do you say that in Chinese?
Wu Li Fang.
Yeah, that promotion. I knew you knew how to say it. Fucking, you're more Chinese than me.
Yeah, I know how to say it because there was like Brad and Israel, like they fight for Wu Li Feng sometimes. But there's a Chinese guy that trains at Tiger. He's so nice. He doesn't speak any Chinese, but he's got like the sickest bowl cut. It's so like it's like this. And he fights for Wu Li Feng, and he's actually pretty good. He's a kickboxer. And I just literally, like, as soon as I see him when he's at Tiger, I always just shout Wu Li Feng from across the fence or across the ropes. And or sometimes I'll slow it down and I'll just be like, Wu Li Feng. And then he just looks at me like, who is this weird white guy just telling me my promotion's name? I get on with the Asians. The Asians give me love.
Yeah, that's no doubt. He was fighting for them, and I guess what the dude was telling me was because he got his teeth knocked out, the promotion gave him some more money.
Oh wow!
Help with his medical expenses because his teeth got knocked out.
That's cool. Yeah. I heard that they're a pretty good promotion. Like they pay well and they take care of the fighters pretty good. So that's it's always good to hear.
Yeah, it sucks for him, man. Like now he don't even need a mouthpiece anymore.
Yeah.
He just go in there, just raw dog and just let it go.
Take the veneers out and roll.
For real, for real. Hey man, I wanted to move on and talk about like the UFC early weigh-ins, right? Because it seems like these early weigh-ins have become a problem. You know, like there's more fighters missing weight with these early weigh-ins than they did before their early weigh-in.
I haven't even thought about it like that or noticed
Statistically, the early weigh-ins have not been good for the UFC and the fighters. Do you think it's because they weigh in so early?
For me,
you were there in Sweden, right? Did they have the early weigh-ins in Sweden?
No. In Sweden, they didn't have the early weigh-ins. It was on the old. It was on the old whatever. Like,
what about Singapore?
Yeah, Singapore had them.
Okay, what time did you go to weigh in?
It was in the morning, man. I don't remember. Like,
was it
maybe
early?
9, 8? Yeah, it was like 8:30. Or maybe it was 10. I'm not sure. Between 8 and 10, I honestly don't remember. But I'm a fan of them. Like, because before when I fought in the States, I didn't have the option to weigh in early. But in Asia, obviously, like the first time I fought in Asia, we weighed in early, and I'm a fan of it. I personally like it.
But why do you think the fighters are missing weight more now compared to when they had weigh-ins in the afternoon?
I don't know. Maybe because some guys, like before, they slept in and they would get up at, whatever time. Because before the weigh-ins, they were like, what time, 4 or 5?
Yeah.
They'd get up and then, go cut weight all day. And maybe now, like, no one wants to wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to go cut weight. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, is that they don't have time before the weigh-in to cut weight. Because let's say you do cut weight and you got to go to sleep and wake up and weigh in.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to stay up all night and cut weight and go, right? Weigh in.
Yeah.
Which sucks, which nobody wants to do.
Yeah, no one. Maybe they should change it where there's – I mean, if they're going to do the public weigh-in, maybe change the times to like, all right, between 10 and 12 or 10 and 1, you can come in at any time and weigh in. And then, but you don't get a lot of time to like, rehydrate and stuff like that before you have to go do the public weigh-in. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be a way to maybe, to fix it. To like, there just has to be some communication, amongst the fighters, I guess, in the promotion. I don't know.
Well, I think the UFC doesn't really give a shit. They're just going to do what they do. And the fighters just have to follow the rules.
Like Nate Diaz said, right?
Exactly. What did he say?
He just said it today. Let me look at it. Kind of made me laugh.
He'd be throwing out those one-liners.
What a G. He's he was talking about like, I'll find it in a minute, but it was basically saying like, people are like, you should take this fight, you should take that fight, and his thing is like, nah, they can beg me for it or something like that. I can't remember where the article was, but here's a funny one. His Instagram post.
Oh, the thirsty one?
And it just says, shut up, bitch. You're both thirsty. And why are you lying?
Officially never offered.
Like talking about taking a fight. But basically the thing is, I don't remember where I saw that. Oh, I saw it on Twitter. I don't remember. Let me continue to try to find it on a website.
Well,
but he was saying like, go ahead.
Yeah, going back to like that, like that whole situation about Dana White saying that they offered, or they didn't offer Nate Diaz or Tyron Woodley the fight, but both of them said basically that they were offered that fight.
And that video,
yeah.
Dana said in that video that he put up, that Diaz put up on his Instagram, in the video, Dana's like, some guy that's not really one of the lawyers for the UFC just, was negotiating and kind of was like, well, would you fight him? Would he fight you? Oh, but he was like, but he's not officially making a fight. Like, basically he was like, the guy crossed the line. But this is the quote of the article. Nate Diaz refuses to be manipulated into UFC return. And then they put quotes and they say, ask nicely, motherfuckers. And then, yeah. But, for him to be able to do that, if he's in a position financially, like, good for him.
Yeah, because I think
this is what he said. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Vegas, they just offered him a boxing license.
That's awesome. Good for him. If he wants to box and go do that, or if he wants to rep, marijuana shit and get paid, fuck it. Do it. Do what makes you happy. But this is one of his quotes. He's such a legend. He just makes me laugh. The fighters are like, he's not a fighter. Sounds like you're being manipulated into trying to manipulate me into getting into a fight, Diaz said. Guess what? You work for somebody. I work for me. Who's the fighter now, bitch? So that's not so that's the name of the game right now. He said, I'm making a big deal because I'm not trying to sign a contract just because it's a good idea for you guys. Like, good for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's called power. That's what every fighter wants.
Right. And there's very, very, very few fighters in MMA that have that power. He's got it. McGregor's got it. Definitely McGregor has it. Very few people have that power.
And you notice both of them are not fighting.
Yeah.
McGregor hasn't fought in 13 months for the UFC. Did you know that?
Yeah, I saw that today.
And he still has the belt. I think that's some bullshit right there.
I think so too. I think move on,
exactly. Move the fuck on.
Yeah, out of the division. Go up to welterweight and fight for the title, and then just retire if you win it.
Man, I'm telling you right now, the fight that they're gonna make next year, and I think it's gonna happen. Probably, if it happens in Ireland, it'll probably happen in the first 6 months next year. If it doesn't happen in Ireland, I see it happening in that July 4th weekend, which is GSP versus McGregor.
You think?
That's the money fight.
Yeah, that is a money fight. And Conor could just, if he won that, both first of all, they're both going to just kill it and make a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
But they can both go out. I don't think Conor will fight that much more,
No.
He may dabble a little bit more, but the guy has so much money and so much fame, and he's just got to be just raking in money from anything that he touches,
Yeah,
so
advertising.
More power to him, man. Any of those guys, I have respect for them. They've he's done it well. He came in, the guy talked a lot of shit. And I was a non-believer for a long time, but you know what? He backed it up, and he deserves what he gets, man. So good for him. He's changed the game. Literally, he's knocked down any barriers or anything. He's broke records, and good for him. Good for Nate Diaz getting the fight with him and winning the first time and smashing it. Hopefully, we could see a trilogy. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I was just watching the post. It just shows you how important that post-fight interview is, because if you watch Nate Diaz's post-fight interview when he beat Michael Johnson, the fight before he fought McGregor,
right?
He calls out McGregor, but he just goes off. Yeah,
it goes off.
Yeah, and he was on Fox too, and
just not giving a shit about the situation.
Yeah,
that's why I like them, bro. Because if I was fighting them, because I'm a type of dude. I fight because I enjoy, winning and stuff like that. But I don't approach fighting the same way those guys do. And they're just so real. For me, it's just it's a sport. I'm going up there. I'm going to weigh in. I'm going to fight the guy. Someone's going to win. Someone's going to lose. And that's my way of thinking. And of course, not everyone thinks the same way. But for them, it literally is kill or be killed. And they wear their emotions on their sleeve. Like, think about all the interviews that like Nick Diaz has done in the past, and Nate as well, but I don't think as much as Nick. But like, can you imagine being like, you as a journalist being like, oh, I'm going to go interview Nick Diaz or Nate Diaz. Like, who knows what's going to happen? Am I going to ask the wrong question and they're just going to have a meltdown, or like, it's just so awkward. And
No,
that's,
I would love to interview them though.
that's why I think I like watching those guys, because they're, what you see is like, it's true. It's not like guys talking shit because like they feel like that's what they have to do, or like McGregor laid out the blueprint. It's because like that's who they are, and they don't give a shit what anyone thinks. They don't care if they're going to get in trouble. They don't care if they're going to get fined. They're going to do them, and they don't change for anybody.
Yeah, it's not manufactured.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome.
And that's why I was kind of disappointed in Bisping, because he talked a lot of shit, right? Then afterwards, he was all like respectful and shit like that, and I was just like, "Come on, man!" Like,
yeah,
like I think that's the thing that I don't like. It's like it's fugazi, like they're fucking fake as fuck, right? Like all these dudes is just like talk shit just to talk shit. It's not even real, And
I think there's a lot of shit talking now that's like, it's just people. It's like Maribek said the other week. It's people trying to be like Connor and stuff because he's good at talking shit, but like, it's just stupid. You know who I really have time for and who's like one of my favorite fighters now is Darren Till.
Oh yeah, he.
But his interviews are awesome. Like, I listen. Granted, I know you wouldn't have heard this interview because it was on Hyon, but he's just like, he's a real dude. Like, he's like, I guess Errol asked him about like what if he could give advice to Mike Perry. When I said Mike Perry, I was thinking about him calling Omate like Pinocchio, whatever.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But he was like, he needs to work on his footwork. And this is like a shit accent, but like, he's a Scouse from like Liverpool. Like, it's so funny. And he was just like talking about, he was like, he got no cardio, and like was saying like what he needs to fix. But he was like, I would still fight him. He was like, I don't care about the rankings and the belt. Like, if he wanted to fight, I'm good. Let's do it. Whatever. He was like, and it doesn't make sense for me to fight him. He was like, but I would still fight him. And then he was like talking about Wonder Boy. He was like, I would love to fight Wonder Boy, but his dad turned down the fight, And then like Ariel like said, he was like, oh, that's a good matchup, like karate versus, your style. And he was like, he's karate. He was like, me Muay Thai would kill him. So I don't give a fuck. No one's on me level. Again, in my shit Scouse accent. But like, he's just like, he's almost like Connor in a way. Like, he really believes, and I don't want to compare him because they're two different people. Like, I really, really like him. But he's a good fighter, man. And he's just like, he believes in himself, and he's not like, he is who he is. He's not like when he went on Ariel Helwani's podcast or the MMA Hour, the first time he was in New York, and it was for what was Madison Square recently, I think. And he literally, like, they were talking about Mike Perry, because it was just after he had come off that big win over Cerrone, and he called him a cunt, which is like a very like in Australia it's just like really used a lot, and English people use it as well. Like, because in America, it's like forbidden to say that word. It's like the worst word ever.
Yeah, I don't understand that shit. Like, it's like saying bitch. There's like bitch is cunt.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, but you can also say like a good cunt, which like Australians say, and that's like a really good thing. If someone says like, oh, he's a good, or he's a sick, the C word. Yeah. It's like a term of endearment. Like, it's it's strong. It means like, yo, that guy's a really good dude. But anyways, he said it, and Ariel's face was just like, I cannot believe he just said that. Like, he didn't say anything, but you could tell his facial expressions it was just so funny, because he said it like, he was just like, I'll knock the cunt's head off or something like that, or something. It was whatever it was. I can't remember, but it was hilarious. And Ariel Helwani's face was just like, he couldn't believe that he had, it was like, he couldn't believe what he had just heard. But he was just like, he was being serious, and he wasn't like talking shit, or like, he was just saying like what he thought. And I have a lot of respect again for that. Like, he says what he thinks, and he really believes in himself, and I know I went off on a tangent, but like his shit talking that's him. Like to me, I really believe it's him talking shit. It's not like him trying to build a fight. It's just what he thinks.
Well,
I think that in our sport, it's just too much now. Like, yeah, you got to build a fight up, but be true to yourself. Like for me, if I was, in that position, just be like, look, I'm not good at talking shit. You won the verbal part. We'll see what happens when we get in the cage. And I would try to like make fun of myself or whatever, like, because that's who I am. Like, I'm okay with like taking the piss out of myself, I think fighters just aren't true to who they are.
Well, like there's the McGregor effect of talking shit. It's good and bad because hey, Till, he wasn't talking shit before. He's been in the UFC for a while, man. Like I've seen him fight before. He was talking shit then. Like
he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. He's been. He has more than 5 fights in the UFC.
Right? Yeah. But when did he ever get noticed? When was he ever doing like interviews?
He's been on the mic before.
I haven't seen. I've never once seen. And I was in his locker room in Sweden.
How I know him is because that ugly ass tattoo he has.
I don't even know what it is.
It's like a picture of Paige Van Zandt.
Oh, yes, I have seen that.
Yeah, you've seen it.
I have seen that now.
And number 2, I remember him because he was an English dude training in Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, like I obviously I know the story now, but like I was in the locker room with him and in Sweden when Nordin fought, and he was like, it was a couple other guys, Nordin and him, and he was the first one or the second one in the locker room to fight. And after he had won, he he came back in, and I just was like, hey man, good job. I had no idea who he was. And then I heard him talking to his coaches, and like I saw some social media after that, and then I realized where I found out a little bit about him. But I don't know, like I didn't even remember him after that night until he knocked Cerrone out. And then I was like, that's the guy that was in the locker room. And now I know who he is. And I'd never seen ever any interview from him, anything before. And obviously you said you had, but I'd never seen any like social media. But I'm going to go back now and look.
Yeah, the thing about that is, the reason why I bring that up is because nowadays, a lot of dudes, their personality is like that. But when they get in front of the camera, they don't act like that because they feel like, hey, I don't want to portray this image of being who they really are, right? Because they want to kind of be a censor themselves, right? Or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah, they want to be liked and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the problem with that is they see McGregor come out, and McGregor, he's mostly manufactured too. He's talking shit, but a lot of that shit's manufactured. A lot of that shit is premeditated, what he's doing. Like it is. Yeah, like Chael. But it works for him, right? But the thing is, the guys that are coming out now that are talking shit because they saw McGregor doing it and it works for him and blah, blah, blah. Now you don't know who's real and who's not.
Yeah.
Even though that might be, like you just said about Darren Till, like, I believe that that's really him, you know what I mean? Yeah, that could be really him, but before he wasn't doing that. That's the point I'm trying to bring up. And nowadays, other fighters are talking shit, but they might be really talking shit how they really talk shit. But before, they were kind of like on the low because they didn't want to, cause negative waves or whatever. And now you can't differentiate between the false and the real shit talkers. But like going back to the Diaz brothers, those dudes you already know. They've been like that from the beginning. Like Rampage, you already know. He been that from the beginning. Right? So that's the problem now. So whenever someone comes, everybody's like, oh, he's trying to do the McGregor shit. But you don't even know if he's just being himself.
Yeah, I never thought about like that one. Fair one. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, like you gotta think like, damn, like talking about like Cody Garbrandt, right? Like leading up to like their fight with him and TJ, right? They had a lot of shit, and basically Cody was, going at TJ most of the time, right? Yeah. And one thing you could respect about Cody is because after he lost, he came out and said, hey, I don't take none of that shit back. Like
Right.
I stand by what I say. You know, I respect him. Of course, you know, you're a fighter. You're gonna respect the other fighter. He beat you, but he said straight up, like, I stand by what I say. He's not a good person. He might be a good fighter. You
Yeah.
know, he beat me. You know, he's the
I
champ.
saw that too.
And that shows you that Cody like is a real dude. Like that's how he really is. Like you could tell he grew up like that. That's him. You know, he might not be the best trash talker, but you know, he'll come at you and say what he really feels. And
Right.
that's the type of example that I'm trying to, you know, I think of somebody that's really them. Because afterwards they didn't go back and said, oh, you know, I was trying to build the fight. That bullshit of building the fight, like after you're finished, even though you win or lose, I don't like that at all. You know, I don't like, oh, well, we're trying to build the fight bullshit. And yeah, it's kind of like super fake. Like, what about Rose Namajunas, man? Do you think that she's like making too many excuses now? She's coming out like she's blaming her like nutritionist and like all kinds of shit, man. About like her weight cut before the Rose fight. She said
you just said are you talking about because you said what about Rose Namajunas?
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah,
Joanna.
Joanna.
Yeah, like Joanna.
I saw the only thing I've seen that she said since the fight is she said something like people said that I'm too cocky or something like that, and like I'm going to be even more cockier now or some shit like that. Like, and they are basically saying like people said she lost because she was too cocky. Like, I don't believe in all that about being too cocky because look, in Thailand, when people fight Muay Thai, they're always very respectful before and after the fights, but like everyone has different styles, and like I've learned a lot about fighting in Thailand. I think I've said this before, but like some people are really, really like cocky when they fight. Like the guy will kick, they'll lean back, and then they'll like make faces at him. But if that was like done on TV and like somebody in the UFC, everyone would be like, "Oh, he's cocky as shit," you know. I hope he gets knocked out. And if he did, they'd be like, "Oh, he deserves what he got." But here it's just like, "Hey, you know, it's how good your skill is." It's not considered cocky. So for me, it's like, I don't believe in that. Like, if that's you, then do you. You know what I mean? And if you get knocked out, hey, you got knocked out. It's not because you were making faces or you're being arrogant or something like that. It's, you know, you got hit with some shit.
Yeah, I was talking to like I was with my friends, you know, the young homies and shit, and one of them was coming out. And he was just like, we're talking about the McGregor and Mayweather fight, and he wanted to bring it up because he did a little boxing and shit. Like he thinks he could throw some hands.
I like how you said that he wanted to bring up because he did a little boxing and shit back in the day.
No, like he thinks he could like throw some hands when, you know, but when he went out to that amateur shit, he got lit up. But I don't want to bring that shit up. I got the video too, but I'm not gonna bring that shit up, right?
It's not the North Korean, is it?
No, this is another dude. But the thing is about him, he's all like, man, do you think when McGregor got that fight that he believed that he was gonna win that fight? Dude, I don't think he believed. This is what he's saying. This is his saying this, right? This is a couple days ago. I don't believe that he believed that he could win that fight. And I told him, man, are you fucking on some motherfucking acid or some shit right now? Do you know what the fuck? You have to be extreme confident, dude, to do anything in that sport of combat. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot go in there thinking like you're gonna lose. Are you fucking retarded?
Yeah, you can't think that at all. But it's like in this game, you have to have like a hint of arrogance to you, or not even arrogant. I would say arrogance. Yes, you have to like look. I don't like talking shit, and I'm not a person that would be like, I don't like confrontation and stuff like that. But before I fight, of course, I think I'm going to win. Like, you're damn right, I think I'm going to win, even if like, you know, the odds are stacked against me or whatever. Like, I wouldn't be in it if I didn't think I could win. You know what I mean? And you have to have that about you. And if you don't, I think it's something you're missing. And of course, everyone like has like doubts and things like that. Well, not everyone. I don't know. You know, maybe Connor doesn't. But like, I think most people, you go through a phase. There's like different phases before the fight. And one of those is maybe you do doubt yourself, or did I do enough, or did I do this right, or did I do that right? But I think that I think most fighters go through that. Donald Cerrone breaks it down the best I think I've ever heard it put. I saw an interview one time when he was talking about that, like the emotions, and it was like, for me, it clicked home. It was so accurate. But at the same time, like you do have those emotions, and you're like, you know what, I got to do this, and this is how it's going to be, and this is what I want to do. And you are, confident in yourself, and you do have that hint of arrogance.
Yeah, the dude was saying, like, the reason he took the fight is because he was going to make, this amount of money. And of course that has to do a part of it, but he's going in there believing 100% in his mind. That's why he trained for that fight, that he's going to beat Mayweather. I told him, like, you haven't been around fighters, man. Fighters are some of the most complex people on earth.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, you got all different types of personalities, but one thing they all have in common is they are confident in what they're going to do. You know what I mean?
Think that's, for me, I think that's in any, like, really, like, physical sport, whether it's MMA, whether it's boxing, wrestling, Muay Thai, rugby, football, that, like, even baseball, golf, like, people are confident, if it's competition, if you're in a sport, or if you're in any type of competition, like, you have to be confident in yourself.
You gotta be, man.
If you're not, like, why are you doing it? It's a competition. You're there to win. You're not there to, like, partake and get, like, a participant award. You know what I mean? You're there to win.
Exactly. Like, even if money drives you, you have to be confident that you're going to make the money. You know what I mean? You can't just think, like, okay, I'm going to make money, I'm going to lose every time. You got to win to make more money. You know what I mean? You're confident that you're going to win, to go up, even though you might not. Your goal is not to be a champion, because there's a lot of dudes out there, for real, their goal is not really to be a champion. Their goal is to make money. You know what I mean? And you still have to be confident that you're going to make this money. And to make money, you got to win. And, like, I was like, man, kind of like, this dude is really thinking a dude like McGregor, even like Mayweather, you know what I mean, is they're going to go into a fight thinking that they're going to lose and not confident they're going to win. Of
course not.
That's fucking ridiculous. Like, but that's the casual fan right there. You got to think about it. That's why you can't talk to a casual fan.
No, you can't, because it's like talking to a wall, because they just don't understand. And that's like people on the internet now is like, with sports and stuff like that, it's just like, they just don't understand, they've never been there. They've never done, like, a lot of fans they don't do jiu-jitsu. They don't do, striking. They just watch it because they like to watch it, and it's entertainment. And they don't understand, but there's a lot of, like, oh, he could do this, he should do this, he should do that. But, like, it's really, like, you just want to be like, shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Even me, I do it sometimes. Like, I'll be like, oh, like, this dude, how come he's not able to, finish this, certain, like, submission or whatever, and I'll do it once in a while. But then I think, okay, I always go back and think about it again, like, oh shit, like, if I was in there, would I be able to do that myself? You know what I mean? Then I got to check myself and say, like, oh, I can't be saying shit like that, because I'm not in there putting my fucking, basically putting your integrity on the line in front of everybody.
Right, but you do jiu-jitsu and you watch fights and you analyze fights. So you do, like, bro, your brother was a fighter. You get props, bro. You can say what you want.
Yeah, but, you still have to, like, hold up and be like, you can't, like, why didn't he do, So I don't do that. Sometimes I'll just sit back and watch, and I'll let the other people talk shit, and I just laugh. Because they'll say some ridiculous ass shit like, oh, man, he could have just slid to the left. Because, like, when you watch fucking Lomachenko, when he's fighting, like, he does some shit think
he is something to watch, man. Like, I'm not a big boxing fan, and, like, I don't watch boxing. I'll watch, like, the big names and stuff. But I'm like if there's a big name, I'll watch it. But, man, he's something else. Like, that guy is incredible. I watch a lot of his stuff just because his footwork is so, like, I wish I could do the stuff that guy does, or I wish I could do a quarter of what he does.
Yeah,
he's something else.
Yeah, like, he's the type of guy you watch and you expect that every other fighter has that footwork.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, going back to the casual fan and believing like this fighter should have done this or this, the confidence and all that shit. You know what you need to do is put one of those guys, like a casual fan, in the corner of a fighter and have them sit there while their fighter is losing.
Yeah.
And watch and have to watch that shit, like get their ass beat and see how that feels, and you'll appreciate fighting
Appreciate it a lot more, yeah. Because it's completely different.
Especially like if you spent weeks and weeks together getting ready for this fight, confident that you're going to go in there and do what you need to do to win the fight, and nothing is working, and you just have to swallow reality in that corner. And especially yourself as a coach, it's just like heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And when you watch those corner cams, when people lose,
that's something for me. I always do. I try to pay attention to, what other coaches are saying in the corner and like what they're telling the fighters. But it's mentally draining, like being a part of whether you're fighting or whether, you have someone. For me, it's more nerve wracking when I'm with a fighter cornering them than it is for me when I'm fighting. Cause like for me, I'm just like, oh, well, it's a fight and I'll do what I'm trained to do or whatever. But when it's someone else, it's like you don't have any control. Like when you're fighting, you have control of what's going on. But when you are not fighting and it's someone else out there, the best that can be is, you give instructions and it's like playing a video game and they do what you tell them, hopefully, or what you tell them they execute. But you have no control, it's not you out there. So
sometimes, going back to, like, I've only cornered one person and I've said it before, and that experience, like, I don't want to experience that again, man. It's heartbreaking. I didn't even train with the dude. Like, I just went to corner him, like I was there and he just like, let's corner me, and I'm watching. But like a piece of you loses. Like a piece of you emotionally is scarred.
Yeah, for sure.
I wish they would show that more, dude. Like,
yeah, bro, it's like, it's how should I put it? It's not like, it's like Nate Diaz says, and the Diaz brothers, like, it isn't a game. It's like kill or be killed. But after the fight, like, what you always hope for is like, first of all, you get the win, and you're like going to eat food and going to the after party, not get the win and go to the hospital, or not lose and have to go to the hospital for stitches or broken bones or shit like that, because that's the reality of it. Like, especially like in the UFC, you leave the octagon, you go straight back to the back of the arena, and you're going into the medical check and making sure there's nothing wrong, and hopefully you're not. But I've been on the side where, I've gone in after the cage, like left so when Derek Brunson fought before, when he fought Yoel Romero, I left the octagon, and he was winning the whole fight until the end. And then we went into where the medics were, and like he had a broken jaw. And then I had to go visit him the next day because his cousin went with him, but I had to go visit him the next day in the hospital. And that was not like a good sight. Like, I left because it was in Atlanta near where I worked. And like, I went on my lunch break and like to see my friend and the guy that I cornered, like, in the hospital with his jaw wired shut was not a cool thing.
No, man,
it's like, people don't know how, like, it is very, very like mentally draining and like and emotionally draining, like being a part of something like that, whether they win or they lose. Like, it's the same thing. Like, it's still, you get the win, great, job well done, but still, like, there's so many ups and downs, like through the whole fight camp, fight week, the fight, like, man, it's almost like a rush kind of.
Yeah, it is. It's like a high of you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And it could be a positive, result or a negative result. And sometimes it all depends on the fighter too. Like, if the fighter, even if he loses, he believes that he did his best and he's in a good mood, and he kind of controls like the environment around him.
Yeah.
After the fight, that's also true too, right? Like,
and then
there's certain fighters that they just break down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they don't show that. the promotions don't show that. The reason why is because it's not a good look, I believe, for the fans to watch that.
Yeah, I
But they
agree with
need
that.
to know it.
It's yeah, like, could you imagine if they did like they do like
Embedded.
an embedded of after the fact when
Yeah.
like people are losing and crying and
Yeah.
going to the medics and shit like that. Like that would be like a whole different like view for fans to look at.
But then you'd have to get fighters to agree to film them in
Right.
that emotional state, that vulnerable state. And I think that would be a great idea for a documentary.
Oh, so do I. For
It's
sure.
not even
Like
the fight.
the only time you see that kind of stuff is like on the Ultimate Fighter, I think.
Yeah.
It's like, and you see him like, throwing shit and stuff like that. But that's like, yeah, of course it's a fight, but it's not the same thing as like when you're preparing 8 weeks for like this huge fight in a big organization, and then whatever happens, and then you see the outcome of it.
Yeah, and you got your whole family there. You got your friends there. You got your team there. And you go out there and, you could win or you could lose. If you win, it's just like the highs of the highs. If you
And
lose,
if you lose, it's the lowest of the low.
lows. But the crazy thing about it is that's why fighters to me are the most mentally strong, is because when they lose, they get knocked out, they get their arm snapped, they're back ready to go and get at it again.
I got knocked out in 7 seconds, like my third pro fight.
Yeah.
I ended up fighting the guy again and like kicking the shit out of him. But, man, I remember my mom was like sat there with my girlfriend at the time, and my mom, she told me afterwards that my mom was just like dumbfounded. She was like, "What the fuck happened?" Like, didn't even, you know what I mean? But like when I walked out of there, I was just like I didn't even know what to do, because it's just such a terrible feeling. Because you don't even know what happens. You just get up and I just remember getting up and being like, what happened? My coach told me, I was like, let's get out of here now. It's terrible.
And it's hard to find, like, if you're with them after they lose and they got their ass whooped or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and finding, like, I think that's what separates certain coaches from other coaches, finding the right things to say to those fighters to comfort them.
I think that's a huge thing, man, because like being a coach, you have to be able to, because everyone's different. It'd be great if everyone was the same and you could treat everyone the same, but it's not. And everyone preparing for a fight is mentally different. Training is different. And, when they lose, you have to approach people different ways. So it's, that is a very hard task to do.
Yeah. Recently, one of the, the good coaches, Robert Follis, he like died and shit, right? Not too long ago. And they were talking about, I forgot who was talking about it, but they were talking about him, right? And they were talking about how he took fighters before they were famous, before they were like 10-0, before they were known, throughout the circuit, and raised them to become UFC fighters.
I read that.
Yeah. And he's like one of those rare coaches that does that. Like, you could talk about certain camps, like fighters, they're already in the UFC and then they move to those camps, right? And they start training with the other, those coaches. But this guy, Robert Follis, he would raise these fighters and be, basically emotionally attached to them. So, for a long time. And I think Robert Drysdale wrote a post about like,
who was it?
Robert Drysdale.
Yeah.
He wrote a post about like how, we need, like, especially coaches, because he's talking about like how he doesn't coach MMA anymore because like fighters are ungrateful and they basically, like a coach basically dedicates their time, sacrifices, mentally, physically, whatever, for their fighters, and usually they don't appreciate it at the moment, right?
Yeah.
And what he was saying is like, don't, with Robert Follis, you should probably like look at your position, look at your surroundings and say, am I doing the best for the people around me, like as a fighter or a coach? You know what I mean? Look at him as an example of what you should be doing in, you know, in your life if you're involved in that aspect of the sports, you know.
For sure, man. I read a lot of those things because I was familiar with him, but not real familiar. And I read a lot of the things, you know, that people wrote. And when I saw that about him building you know, fighters from the ground up, and you know, like you said,
Kevin Lee.
Yeah. It really it aspired, it made me be man, you know, I want to because, you know, I help a lot of the time, all the foreigners that I get obviously don't, you know, live here full time. But for the top people that I train, for me, it's man, I you know, I want to build one of those, as many as I can, but somebody up, you know, from their first fight all the way to making it to the big stage. So it was it really set home with me when I read some of that stuff about what he does, because man, it does take a lot to, like you said, to emotionally invest yourself in someone like that. And he did it with multiple people. So that's man, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. You know, like you said, you're in Thailand, you're a foreigner, and you have a fucking huge opportunity to be able to take those fighters that have very solid base in one of the most important martial arts for MMA, which is Muay Thai, and use your skills, use your pedigree, your intelligence, and you know, and coach them to learn the other aspect that is really important, which is the grappling aspect.
Yep.
And create this fucking machine. I don't know if I want to say machine, but create this monster that can go into MMA and just take over, which hasn't happened from that area of the world.
Yeah.
So you're in a fucking crazy
For
position.
me, it's exciting.
It is. But now you're getting pulled in all these different directions, though. It's kind of crazy. You're probably fuck, man. You know, I could only imagine the directions that you're getting pulled by, because you got foreign fighters, you got Thai fighters, you got, you know, other coaches, you got probably your other shit that you're doing yourself, which is a lot of fucking shit on your plate.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but for me, it's not work because I live in paradise. But no, it's what I love to do, you know? I really enjoy what I do, and I love helping fighters, and I love, you know, being a part of their journey. I'm a small part of it, but if I can share knowledge or help someone, you know, I really enjoy that. And to see them succeed is, for me, that's a lot. I get more satisfaction out of watching, you know, fighters that I help train fight and then they win. I get more satisfaction out of that than winning myself. So.
And, you know, Asia still, even though it's the birthplace of martial arts, we still haven't had a UFC champion, which is crazy to say.
It is.
Out of Asia.
It's very crazy.
You know, anywhere. UFC is you know, there's no denying that. UFC and MMA, it's the cream of the crop. It's the best of the best.
Oh, 100%. But like you said, it is crazy to see that there hasn't been an Asian MMA champion yet. And I think that Asia is there's a lot of good fighters. They have a strong, you know, Japan and stuff have a strong MMA history. And I feel but MMA is still on the rise in Asia. It's still it's not as far, you know, obviously America and Brazil and stuff like that are, you know, the powerhouse countries. But I think in the near future, we'll start seeing more Asian MMA champions, and hopefully in the UFC soon.
Hopefully. That's what I'm dreaming about. You know me. I'm all about Asian shit, so.
You know me. I'm all about it too.
So it's all good, man. I'm rooting for you to create a monster and to go over there and just fucking Danielson the fuck out of everybody. You know, some wax on shit. Where the fuck? But you see this whole thing about Mayweather?
I saw it, bro. I don't read into it that much. when it actually happens, if he does fight, if he doesn't fight, because I saw like Danny was saying it was, it was close or whatever. He was really interested, and then I saw today Floyd said he was. Like, it's not true, but who really knows, bro? Who really knows?
You don't know. The reason why is because they could just say whatever the fuck they want, and then the newspapers or the sites, they'll just print that shit, and that's what they want. They want attention.
For me, like, if he fights, of course I'm going to watch it. If he doesn't fight, I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Hey, you know who's in Korea right now? Pacquiao.
Who? Oh, really?
He brought his whole family over here. I don't know why he's here, but he's here.
Wow.
It's a trip. Yeah. I was like, why is he here? But I guess he's here for something. I don't know exactly what. But yeah, I saw a picture of him with his family at the airport. And I don't know why he would come at this time when it's cold as hell.
Cold as shit.
Yeah, and North Korea is about to, pop some shit off. Maybe, I don't know.
You guys are good.
You know how it is. But yeah, like you see, right when that shit popped off, Demetrius Johnson came out and said like, "Hey, I'll go up 20 pounds and fight Floyd Mayweather." Demetrius Johnson kind of sound thirsty a little bit by doing that shit, huh? Like he's doing that.
I saw Darren Till posted again and said something like, "Hey, are you having a laugh? Like all the fighters, like, it's not even the same sport. Like, stop." Which I agree with as well.
Well, you don't see boxers calling out MMA fighters.
No, but you see MMA fighters all the time calling out boxers and kickboxers and stuff. It's just like, stay in your lane.
For real, dude. Like, you gotta just gotta move on with your life.
Yeah.
Stop stalling and,
because everyone's going to do it. Like, it's like, oh, who's the big boxer, whatever, talking about fighting MMA. Oh, I'll fight him. Like everyone, even when Conor was fighting Mayweather, everyone was like wanting to fight. What's the other guy's name that sparred with him? Magliani or
Paulie.
Yeah, Paulie. Everyone was like saying they'd fight him and this and that. It's just like, stop.
Yeah, it's just the MMA is in a weird place right now because the next year is like it's unclear. Like the UFC, it feels like they're just fucking up a little bit by putting these, all too many title fights on one card.
Yeah, I read like briefly about like something that came out recently about like who they're going to renew their deal with for TV and stuff like, and I don't know about all that stuff. And I'm not going to act like I do, but it was interesting to read whether or not it's true about like the ratings and the, how many pay-per-views are this or how many pay-per-views are that, and how many title fights they have and who they're putting on the show. So, yeah.
Well, did you read about how like WWE does it? Like their TV shit?
I think I did, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, they have their like own Fight Pass shit themselves.
Oh, really?
They have their own Fight Pass type of shit. But when you subscribe to it, you get like a couple pay-per-views a year for free.
Oh, wow.
So that's their kind of like model that they have. And that's what the fucking UFC should probably be doing. You know what I mean? They should probably, have more people try to sign up for Fight Pass and give them a few pay-per-views a year. Something, you know what I mean? Like, Fight Pass, after a while, it's like not even worth it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't even watch it anymore. Do you go back and watch fights?
No, I watch it. I use Fight Pass to either watch fights live or to go back and like do a study on people.
Yeah, but nowadays you could find fights many other ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I heard the UFC doesn't even give it to like the fighters and shit. That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, that is kind of fucked up.
Like you're an employee of the company, or I don't know if you're an employee of the company, but shit like that. But it's kind of I don't know. And what's going on in Asia though? Have you heard anything that's been going down in Thailand? Isn't Thailand supposed to have some events coming up or Southeast Asia or something?
My girl Loma, Luke Bunmi, and Mallory Martin fighting in Invicta.
All right. What else?
Not much. It's kind of quiet right now. I don't think there's any Full Metal Dojos coming up or any primals or anything.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on with Primal.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to
Because
be
they had
honest.
one event and now it's what about that Siam, what is it? Siam?
Oh, so, yeah. So I think Alex will do another one in February.
Oh, really?
I believe it's in February, yeah. So that'll be another good event. The first event was awesome. You know, I had like over 50 competitors from I don't remember how many different countries. So it was a good turnout.
So you guys had like all people from all gyms and shit like that.
Yeah, it was I think Alex had people from pretty much almost every gym on the island
Mm-hmm.
that has jiu-jitsu and stuff, and I think there were people from Malaysia and from Bangkok, so it was a good event. It's cool for stuff like that, you know, like no drama amongst the gyms or anything like that, or the competitors. Everyone just like hanging out and competing and having a good time, and it was good, man. It was good. It was a lot of good feedback for him, so I'm excited for him for his second event.
Yeah, yeah. It looked like I wish you guys would throw up the videos or something of like the
Yeah, I think
matches.
it's being editing and stuff, and I think
Mm-hmm.
they'll have it up soon because they
Okay.
just released some photos this week, so I think videos will be coming soon.
Yeah, make the videos and make a channel on YouTube or something.
Yeah,
People can watch those videos because you know the people that competed.
yeah, like there was a ton of obviously competitors, but you know I think they got almost all the matches on video, and you know Alex has a lot of good ideas for it coming up soon too in the future.
Yeah, we should have him on so we could talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we should talk about what he's doing and with that because that could become pretty huge in Thailand where it's like
Yeah, I think so too.
it has a cool name. I like the
Yeah,
name of it.
and he did a good job. He did a good job with the name and the logo and stuff like that. So I'm happy for him. He's doing a good
Yeah.
job with it.
Hey, is he gonna fight soon? Is he planning on that?
Nothing. Yeah, he's gonna not anything set in stone, but he's definitely gonna fight again in the new year.
Did you see the Bob Sapp shit?
Yeah, he's fighting a bear or something.
No, full domestic violence in Japan.
No, I didn't see that. Oh no,
They just came out today, man. Like
I didn't see that.
it's all on the Twitter, full like Bob Sapp, like I guess his girlfriend. This is on some tabloid shit over there. Like there's pictures. I saw the pictures of Bob Sapp allegedly beating the shit out of his girlfriend, and she posted all the pictures of like all the bruise marks on her face and
Oh
on her
wow.
arm and her back. And
Come on, Bob.
you seen Bob before?
Yeah, he's huge.
He's fucking gigantic. And imagine like a little Asian like girl.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know.
You know what I mean? Like that's not a good look right there for Bob, but
Yeah.
that's
A
alleged
legend.
shit.
A
Yeah,
legend.
alleged shit. But there's pictures, and then they show the Facebook Messenger like
Oh
chatting
wow.
of like I love you, baby, and like I didn't mean to do it. I'll never do it again or some shit like that. It's on there. So that's fucked.
Surely.
And did you see the other Bob Sapp shit where he got extorted in Africa? No,
No.
Guatemala. There's video of that
What?
shit too. Yeah, he went to Guatemala to do at some resort, and like he went with his manager or some shit, and then they poisoned his manager, and then they had to take her to the hospital, and then the hotel or the resort employees extorted Bob for like $5,000 or some shit like that.
Poor
That was just on
Bob.
the YouTube too.
Bob just ain't having a good run, is he?
No, man, it's terrible, man. I don't know what's going on with him. And the fucked up part was he just got inducted into the University of Washington Football Hall of Fame.
He might not be in there for too long.
I know, man. What the fuck's going on with him, man? Like, hey, a funny story about Bob, dude. Like, I interviewed Bob a long time ago in Korea, and like Bob is like a trip, man. Like he'll come and he'll talk to you, he'll talk your ear off. But the thing about it is, he knows some shit, right? Like he'll talk to you about like some financial shit. Like he's graduated with like multiple degrees and shit, right, from college. And most people don't know that about Bob unless you've been around him. But he'll give you financial advice, how to fucking like plan your fucking future and all that shit, right? So, and he will talk. Like he'll talk like somebody on cocaine and shit for real. Like right? So I interview him, and the interview goes way longer than I thought. And then afterwards he's like, "Oh, let's go eat." So like we go outside, me, Bob, and a couple other people, and we go out, and like people are going crazy because this is Korea, so everybody knows who Bob is because he's been on TV, you know what I mean, and he's fucking gigantic, right? So we go to this place, and we're eating and shit, and we're drinking, and he doesn't drink, right? He doesn't drink, and the funny thing is, like, he goes and asks people that the employee of the bar or like like in Korea they have like restaurant bars and shit.
Yeah.
Like if we could get like a free meal. Do you know what I'm talking? Like because he's famous. Like he'll take some pictures.
Can you comp the meal? I'm gonna take a couple photos. Just don't worry about us paying.
Yeah. Like that shit, right? So they're asking me to do it. Right? Because I speak Korean or whatever. So they're asking me like, hey, could you ask them like if we could get this, like, is this one free? Like, cause I'm famous. Like I've never seen anybody do that in my life, man.
And what did they say?
Yes. And I was like, damn, Bob must be getting a lot of free shit everywhere because
what a legend. Yeah, he knew. Hey, by the way, hey, just tell him in Korean that we want to get this one comped.
For real. And he took pictures with all the employees. And like I think he signed some shit that they put on the wall, you know what I mean?
That's so funny.
And I was like, I never seen anybody do that in my life. Even if I was like, to be honest with you, right? If you could get away with it, you get away with it. But if I was famous, like I don't think I would ever go around asking people for shit like that. Would you?
No, not at all.
Exactly.
I remember
you have money.
On a small scale of this, like I remember as a kid, because my dad was a cop, going into like a gas station, and he was in uniform, and the people tried to give him like, I think he got like a Coke, like a Diet Coke and like a snack, and they tried to give him, they were like, oh, don't worry about it, sir, thank you, for whatever. And my dad, like, he refused. He was like, no, I appreciate, the gesture, but no, I'm okay, thank you. And he like wouldn't take it. And I was like, Dad, why don't you just do it? Like they were, they were just being nice. He's like, son, it's okay. Like I don't need anything free. Like this is my job, I don't expect to get anything out of this. I do it because, it's my job. And I was like, oh, kind of like set home with me, like, oh shit.
Yeah, your dad's famous.
Then I'm thinking about Bob Sapp just like killing some like Korean barbecue and like everyone having drinks and shit and the tab just being really expensive.
Yeah, and he'd just be like, hey, I'm Bob. Let me get that on, on what is it like? Let me get that on the OG status. Like, I'm famous. I'll take some pictures and shit.
That was an OG card.
I've experienced that before. Like when I was growing up, there was a convenience store, and it was owned by some like a Korean family.
Did you speak to them in Korean?
No. Like I didn't know who they were. Like I know they're Korean, and I knew his daughters. He had twin daughters that were like same grade as me.
Yeah,
but
they
were terrible though. I'm just telling you the truth. They're terrible, okay. Right? But because Georgia gave those eyes and shit, like, do you hit? You hit? No, not even close. Okay, now they're not even trying to do that, right? But like we would go to the convenience store because that's the like one of the main convenience, and he's the Korean dude, right? But he knew I was Korean automatically just by looking at me when I would go there, and then after I've been there a few times, like he would just like I would go up to buy some shit, and he would tell me like, "Oh, just take it. It's free." Like he don't know me from fucking Harry, Dick, or Johnny, right? But he just said,
he would tell you to take it for free?
Yeah. He just said,
did he tell you in English or Korean?
I don't remember. I think in English. I think it was in English, but maybe Korean. I'm not for sure. I don't remember that detailed. But he just say, take it, right? So I was just like, all right, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And he's like, and he's like, hey, you want some of this fucking chicken in here? You know how they have the chicken and like cooked already and shit, like on the side? And he's like, oh, you want some chicken and stuff? And I was like, yeah, let me get some of that. He's like, oh, yeah, put it in the bag and shit. And that shit was happening for a while, fool. Like, I would just go there and he would just be like, I'd be like, hey,
take it.
Yeah, he'd just be like, take it, right? And I was just like, damn, this dude is a nice-ass dude. Like, maybe I don't know why he would do it because he never asked me for anything. He would ask me like, hey, you remember back then it was like magazines were like big?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you buy magazines.
Hey, you want some Playboys?
No, but they already had the Playboys, right? But I told him like, hey, you need to get this magazine, and then I'll go the next week, and he would have those magazines, and he'd be like, take it. I'll be like, thank you, right?
What state was this in?
This was in like in Washington, right? And then I remember one time I was at the counter and then he turned around and went this and I saw the strap. Right? He was strapped up. I was like, "What? This old motherfucker got the gauge like in the back, dude." I was like, "Oh shit, he's ready for some war right there." You know, like I was like, then I respected him a little bit more. I was like scared of him a little bit, like he'll shoot me or something if I do something wrong.
It's so funny, bro.
It is. But he was like this like old Korean dude, you know, like just like he didn't really talk loud or nothing like that. He was just like he would just say, take it. And then his wife would be there sometimes and she'd be like, take it. So I stopped going there after a while.
Take it.
Because I felt bad. You know what I mean? Like I would just go in there and I would never want to go in there with somebody else. Because they would see that shit. Like, you know, I never went in there with somebody else because they would see like, oh, this dude is giving you free shit. Like, what's going on with that? You know what I mean? And then they would ask me to go in there and get them shit.
Right.
You know? Like, motherfuckers is, stingy like that. They're fucking scandalous, right?
Oh, for sure.
So I was just like, after a while, I didn't even go there anymore. I think I went there for like a month. After that, take it so long, it's just like, is this dude trying to fuck me or something? I don't know what's going on with that.
Let me pay for the shit, man. Come on.
Yeah, for real.
That's funny.
But anyways, all right, man. Let's shut this shit down. And where you gonna be, man? You gonna be you going anywhere the next couple of weeks?
I don't know how many. I don't have my flights yet, but beginning of January for Invicta.
All right, man. Well, we'll be talking before then anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Peace, man.